Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Shraddha Vichare and today we will continue the chapter company accounts. As you know, we have covered some part of this lesson in the lecture 1. Now we are going to continue. In this lecture we will study the types of companies and we will also discuss formats of various financial statements which are required to prepare by the company. Okay, so without wasting any time, let us start the session. This is about previous lecture. In the previous lecture we have studied introduction of the chapter, the weightage of the chapter, the major points on which the questions are asked. Then we studied what is mean by company, then origin of the word company and its meaning in detail. We have also covered various features of the company, and now in this video we'll cover the next part. In the next part, now we are going to study various types of companies as well as we'll study format. These formats which are already given in your module, that is in your study material, but we will discuss the concept and the proper trick to remember those formats. Okay, so let us begin. Now we have already studied that what is mean by company. Company is one form of organization which is established or which is came into existence to overcome the difficulties in proprietorship and partnership. Okay, so company form of organization, it is one which has various types. So one by one we'll discuss all those types. So first one is government company. So as the name suggests, government company is one company which is owned by government. See, it is given in section 2 subsection 45 of Companies Act 2013. So as per that section, any company which has at least 51% paid up share capital which is held by government, which government, either central government or state government. Okay, so if in any company, if the paid up share capital, from the paid up share capital, if minimum 51% share capital is held by government, either by central government or by state government or by both, that is partly by central and partly by state government, then such company is called as government company. Okay, I'll give you one example. Suppose there is one company named as ABC Limited. Okay, so in that ABC Limited, central government has shares of that is 51% part of its share capital is held by central government. So this ABC Limited will called as government company because major share capital, that is more than 50%, minimum 51% is held by central government. So this company becomes government company. Okay, then next is foreign company. Foreign company, here also the name is suggesting the meaning of the company. Foreign company means which is in foreign. Yes, so it is given in section 2 subsection 42. What does mean by foreign company? Foreign company is any company or body corporate which is outside India. That is outside India means, in short, which is in foreign country, but which has its place of business in India or which conducts the business in India in any other manner. Okay, so let us take one example. Suppose there is one company in USA. Okay, there is one company in USA. That company's head office is located at USA, but that company has its branches in India. It has its one branch in Mumbai, then one another branch in Delhi. Okay, so it means company is outside India, head office is outside India, but still it is doing business in India. It has its branches in India. Okay, so such a company is called as foreign company. Okay, now see which is the next type of company. So next type of company is private company. So private company and public company, we all know about that. What is mean by private company? Private company means the company which restricts the right to transfer its shares. Okay, which restricts the rights to transfer its shares, means in short, which cannot transfer its shares. Means private company is such a company whose shares are not transferable. Private company is that company who cannot issue its shares to the public. It cannot transfer its shares to the public. Such company is called as private company. Okay, and it is given in section 2 subsection 68. Now now the company which cannot transfer its shares is called as private company. So obviously the company which can transfer its shares will be called as public company. Means public company is any company which is not a private company. Private company cannot transfer the shares. So public company is one company which can transfer its shares. Okay, it means a company which is not a private company. Okay, and it is given in section 2 subsection 71. Then number of other points are there, like its minimum paid up share capital, that we all know. The limit of private company minimum paid up capital should be 1 lakh rupees. Okay, then in case of public company this limit is 5 lakh, but it is as per Companies Act 1956. Now the revised act, Companies Act 2013, as per that act there is no such limit on the minimum amount of paid up share capital. But we should know that in case of private company it is 1 lakh rupees they should have paid up share capital, and public company rupees 5 lakh. Okay, so these are 4 types of company. Now there are some other types of company, let us see. So type number 5 is one person company. As the name suggests, one person means the company which has only one person as its members, as its member. It means in any company if there is only one member, then that company is called as one person company. Okay, and it is given in section 2 subsection 62. You have to remember all the sections. There is no any hard and fast task. You have to list out all the sections, because sometimes we are ignoring which section, subsection, but it is better we should have a complete knowledge about the concept, because if any times ICAI is playing a smart game with you, they can ask anything, so be prepared. So what we were discussing, one person company. So see, one person company is given in section 2 subsection 62. So as per that section, the company which has only one person as its members is called as one person company. Okay, now next one is small company. Small company means which is small. Yes, which is small in size means not its physical size. Obviously will measure the size of the company on the basis of its paid up share capital. So any company which has its paid up share capital not more than 50 lakh rupees and whose turnover not more than 2 crore rupees. Okay, such company is called as small company. See once again, company other than public company, not a public company, other than public company, whose paid up share capital is maximum 50 lakh rupees. It should not exceed 50 lakh rupees, and its turnover as per the previous profit and loss account shall not exceed 2 crore rupees. Okay, so that company is called as small company. Understood? Now next number 7th type is listed company. Listed company means which is listed. Where the companies are listed? Listed on stock exchange. If any company is listed on any recognized stock exchange, means company is listed means its securities, any of its securities such as shares, debentures, if they are listed on any recognized stock exchange, then that company is called as listed company. Section 52. Section 2 subsection 52. Okay, now next is unlimited company. Okay, now listed company we have discussed. With reference to that, one more point comes over here, that is unlisted company. Opposite of that, the company which is listed is called as listed company. So obviously any company which has not listed any of its securities on the stock exchange, that is called as unlisted company. So also note that one point. Okay, now let's move to the next point. So next is, oh, I have given over here, yes, type unlisted is also mentioned in the slide. Then next is unlimited company. What is unlimited company? It is given in the section 2 subsection 92. So unlimited means company not having any limit on the liability of its members. If the company, the liability of the members has no limit, then such a company is called as unlimited liability. In the features of company, that is in the previous video, I have explained what is mean by limited liability and unlimited liability. Okay, next is holding company and subsidiary company. So we will study them simultaneously. See, what is holding company? Holding company is that company which is in relation with one or more other companies. Okay, and what is subsidiary company? Subsidiary company means, see, subsidiary company is that company in which holding company controls the composition. Holding company exercises and controls the one half of the total share capital, more than one half of the total share capital. See, section 2 subsection 46 says that if any company is in relation with some other companies, one or more other companies, then that is holding company. Means that company is holding some other companies. One A Limited is there and it is holding some other companies. See, it is holding one another company, X Limited, Y Limited, then it is called as A Limited will be known as holding company, and the company which it holds, say I said X and Y, so that will be its subsidiary companies. Okay, so see, subsidiary company given in section 2 subsection 87. So it explains that if the companies has its controls in the hands of holding company. See, in our example, X Limited and Y Limited, these two companies, their control is in the hands of A Limited, means A Limited holds these two companies. So X and Y are the subsidiary companies. Okay, so in case of subsidiary company, more than one half of the total share capital is held by holding company. Okay, clear? So these are various types of companies. I hope you are clear with this. So total 10 types of companies we have discussed over here. And now let's move to the next point. In next point we are going to discuss the main part, that is books of accounts. Which books of accounts are maintained by the company? So it is also given in the law. Which section? Section 128 and section 129. It is saying something about maintenance of books of accounts. So see, why the books are maintained? So books of accounts are maintained just to keep record. Company has to keep records of all the transactions. They want to know profit and loss or sales, total sales, total income, total expenses. So if company is maintaining regular books of accounts, if it is having proper records of all the transactions, then only it is possible. So see, as per section 128, every company shall prepare and maintain its registered books of accounts and financial statements of every financial year. Means it is compulsory as per section 128 that every company has to maintain its books of accounts, and they also have to maintain financial statements. Okay, what section 129 says? See, 129 says that this books, whatever books company is maintaining, they shall give true and fair view of the state of affairs, and they shall also comply with the accounting standards, and they shall be as per see they shall be as prescribed in the Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. Means 128 says that they have to maintain the books of accounts, okay, and financial statements, and 129 says that it should give true and fair view of its statement of affairs, as well as it shall be as per the accounting standards. They have to follow accounting standards, as well as Companies Act, whatever in the Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is about the format of financial statements. So whatever books they are maintaining, that book should be as per that format, that is as per that schedules, as well as accounting standards should also be followed by them. Okay, so it is very important point. I hope you have got this. Let's see what is next. Next is preparation of financial statements. This slide says that okay, section 128 is telling about financial statements. Company has to maintain the financial statements, but which financial statements, which books they have to maintain? So see, first one is they have to maintain statement of profit or loss. Secondly, they have to maintain balance sheet, then cash flow statement, and notes of accounts. Notes of accounts, it's not any particular statement, it means various working notes. The details of that transactions is given in the notes of accounts. Okay, so one by one we will discuss. In your syllabus, format of statement of profit and loss and format of balance sheet is given. Okay, so we'll discuss that one. See, on the next slide we can see format of balance sheet. So you all know it is given in your module format, and you are already knowing the format, but we sometimes we cannot remember all these entries which comes first and all these things. Let's see, this is, we can see various headings and there is a sequence, number 1 2 a b subheadings are there. Okay, so and also there is a statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss is also given over here, and we have to study that. Now the point is both the formats are over here, and it is also given over in your book. Number of times you are drawing that or you are studying that, but sometimes it happens that we don't remember all the things, we don't remember the sequence or the headings, subheadings. For that it is essential that we have to study the concept, and I'm going to discuss this concept and how to remember this format. Okay, so for better understanding we have to understand why these statements are prepared and on what concept they are based. So you will not need to recite anything. Okay, so before that we will discuss that this format of balance sheet and format of statement of profit and loss, where it is given. So as we discussed in section 128 and section 129, it is given over that the company has to maintain the books of accounts, and they have to follow the accounting standards, and they also have to follow the schedule 3 of Companies Act. Okay, so what is this schedule 3? It's in schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. In part 1, statement, that is, sorry, format of balance sheet is given. Okay, and in part 2, format of profit and loss is given. Okay, so this format is according to that, you can see over here. And same alike, format of statement of profit and loss, it is given in schedule 3 part 2. Okay, part 2, you can see part 2 is statement of profit and loss. Now I'll discuss the concept of these things. The point is how to remember this format, how to remember the format, that is, number of headings are there, subheadings are there. So there is one simple formula, or you can say simple trick. You have to understand what is the basic purpose behind preparing this profit and loss or this balance sheet, and next is you also have to understand what is the concept behind it. Okay, so you can simply remember using this formula. You have to know purpose as well as concept of these things. Okay, so let us begin, let us understand. I'll give you, first we'll start from balance sheet. Okay, so in balance sheet, we can see there is a big format of balance sheet. First heading is there, equities and liabilities. In that, four subheadings are there, and second part is there, asset, and in that also some subheadings are there. Okay, but no need to recite all these headings, subheadings. What is our formula? We have to know what is the purpose plus concept. Okay, so what is the purpose behind preparing balance sheet? The purpose is to know the financial position, to know financial position, yes or no? For that only we are preparing balance sheet, or you can say to know the liquidity position of the company. Okay, so balance sheet is prepared for this two purposes, that is, we want to know the financial position of any company, and we also want to know liquidity position. Okay, now the next thing, we also have to understand what is the concept behind it. Okay, so the concept behind is, can you tell, we have studied various accounting concepts. In that, one concept is there, full disclosure. Okay, so that full disclosure concept says that we have to disclose the books of accounts in full manner, that is, all the things, assets, liabilities, we have to show it fully. Okay, so these two things we have now got. What we have, why we are preparing balance sheet? We want to show the financial position of a company, plus which concept we are going to use? Full disclosure concept. Okay, it means we are going to show financial position, means all the property, assets we are going to show, as well as we are going to show the liabilities plus capital. Okay, so let us begin. Let us begin by keeping these 2 points in our mind. So let us see. You can see that here is the format of balance sheet. Okay, format of balance sheet is given over here. You can see these headings. First heading is equities and liabilities, and there are 4 subheadings, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, now in the next part, that is part 2, is assets, and there are 2 subheadings, 1 and 2. Okay, so now the simple thing keep in our mind, very easy, that is, in balance sheet there are 2 headings. Okay, like first is equities and liabilities, and second one is asset. Okay, here are, in under equities and liabilities, 4 subheadings are there, and under asset 2 subheadings are there. So ratio is 4:2. You can easily remember. First is equities and liabilities, second is assets. Under equities and liabilities, 4 headings, sorry, 4 subheadings, and here 2 subheadings, 4:2. Okay, now let us see. what these subheadings are. If you are opening your book or the page where this format is already given, then it will be better for you to understand. So let us see. In my slide you can see that 4 subheadings: equities and liabilities. What are these 4 subheadings? First is shareholders funds. Okay, in that what is given? In shareholders funds there are 3 things are given. Share capital. In share capital we are showing issued and paid up capital. Okay, then reserves and surplus. Reserves and surplus, in that all the reserves like capital reserve, general reserves, then capital redemption reserves, all these things are shown here in reserves and surplus. Then next, third heading, number of times we are ignoring that, but you should not do like this. Third heading is money received against share warrants. Okay, money received against share warrant. So let us revise. First heading is shareholders funds, and there are 3 subheadings: share capital, reserves and surplus, and money received against share warrant. Okay, now second is share application money pending allotment. Okay, share application money pending allotment. When we are issuing shares, the money is received in installment, application money, allotment money. Okay, and whenever the shares are issued and public is subscribing those shares, sometimes there is a oversubscription. In case of oversubscription, that is when the extra applications are received, that application money is refunded. Okay, or it is transferred to allotment money. So here in such a case, this you will write here when such a case will come, that is share application money is pending on allotment. Okay, now next 3 and 4 is this, that is non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Now we know that liabilities are of 2 types. Generally we are saying fixed liabilities, current liabilities. Assets are also of 2 types: fixed assets, current assets. So current liabilities and fixed means, in short, non-current liabilities. So what is this concept is? So if your basic is strong, then you are knowing non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities means which are for long term, or generally you can say for more than 1 year. Okay, which is generally for more than 1 year. Now see current liabilities. What is current liabilities? Current liabilities means short term liabilities. Short term liabilities, that is which are generally for less than 1 year time period. So in that also four subheadings are there, and there is a simple trick to remember this. Discuss about this. See, non-current liabilities, what are this heading? It is just a journey in between L do L, and current liabilities, it's a journey in between S to S. Now what is this L do L? L, long term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities, other long term borrowings, and long term provisions. That is L do D, that is DO do and L. Now long term borrowings, that is which are for the long time period. Then deferred tax liabilities. Deferred tax means any not unpaid tax, not for current year, any previous year tax liabilities if you are having. Other long term borrowings. Then long term provisions. Okay, now next, fourth heading is under equities and liabilities, current liabilities. What does mean by current liabilities? Any short term liabilities. So what is the its journey in between S to S. So S means short term borrowings, this S means short term provisions, and TO, trade payables, other current liabilities. This trade payables means what? we are writing creditors, bills payable, but now we are going to use some standard headings. Now we are not going to say like bills payable, creditors. What will give heading, that is trade payables, and in that this creditors, bills payable will come. Okay, so I think in short you can remember this first part of the balance sheet easily. What is the first part is about equities and liabilities, where four subheadings are there. Which are these four subheadings? Shareholders funds, share, application money pending allotment, then non-current liabilities, current liabilities, and this all here L to L and here S to S. Okay, now see, next is assets. I said the purpose of preparing balance sheet is to know the financial position of the company. So we have shown the liabilities, but financial position, to know the financial position, it is also necessary to know what are the assets of the company. Okay, and also the concept is, this format is based on full disclosure concept. So as we are showing all the liabilities, we also have to show all the assets of the company. All the assets we have to show, current, non-current, long term, short term, everything. Okay, so see here, and our trick also says that ratio is 4:2. That means now four headings we have discussed under equities and liabilities. Now in under assets only two subheadings are there. What are these two subheadings? See, first is non-current assets, second is current assets. In non-current assets, let's see in a quick, because it is easy. Fixed assets. Fixed assets means which are fixed in nature, or you can say which are long term assets. Fixed assets of the company. Under that subheadings are there. Tangible. Tangible means visible, which we can see, we can touch. Tangible assets like property, building, plant, machinery, these all are tangible assets. Then intangible assets. Intangible, invisible, we cannot see, we cannot touch. So intangible assets like goodwill or copyrights, patents, trademarks, these are intangible assets. Then in fixed assets, one more is there, capital work in progress, the work in progress. Then intangible assets under development. What? Intangible assets but which are under development. Any assets which are under development, you can say here some mining or construction work is going on, in that some processed work under development, it will come over here. Then under non-current assets, fixed asset is first heading. Then second is non-current investment. We know that in assets not only property, building, machinery is there. What is assets? Investment is also asset. Non-current means what? Long term investment. So what will come here in non-current investment? The long term investment, like investment in equities or investment in preference shares. These are all non-current investments. Then deferred tax assets. Now see, tax is liability also, or tax is asset also. What is this? It is like it is just the term of to and from, like loan given and loan taken, same alike. This, suppose loan taken is a liability and loan given is an asset, same like deferred tax assets are also there. Then long term loans and advances, yes, which loan under asset? Loans given will come. If you have given any loan for the long term basis, then it will come under non current assets. Then other non current asset, any another non current assets which are of this specific nature. Okay, let us revise. Non current assets means fixed assets. So here fixed assets of tangible, intangible, work in progress and under development. Then non current investment, deferred tax assets, long term loans and advances, yes, loans given, and other non-current assets, any other assets. Now the next second and the last heading is current assets. Now what is current assets? Current assets means short term assets which are for short time period. Your current investment, short term investment, you have invested your money for a short time period. Then in inventories, any stock of goods, stock of work in progress, stock of finished goods, stock of material, any kind of inventories. Trade receivables, trade payables and trade receivables. What we discussed in trade payables, creditors, bills payable. So here what will come? Trade receivables, debtors, bills receivable, it will be your trade receivables. Then cash and cash equivalents, like cash in hand, cash at bank. Okay. Short term loans and advances, any loan given for short term time period, it's your short term loans and advances under current assets. And other current assets. Okay, so you have to keep these things in your mind. And I hope with this understanding you will easily remember this format of balance sheet. There is no need of recitation. There is a simple concept we are going to use. We want to show the financial position. Okay, financial position as well, so that we are going to show assets and liabilities, and our concept is full disclosure. So we are going to show all the assets and liabilities, like shareholders funds, non-current, current, fixed, tangible, intangible. Okay, so and one more thing, like that 4:2 ratio is there. First is in liabilities 4 subheadings, assets 2 subheadings. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this. Now see how to remember format of statement of profit and loss. It is easier than that balance sheet. Okay, because here the purpose is very simple. What is our formula? Formula is we have to know why we are preparing this, purpose plus concept behind this. Then we can easily remember this. So purpose is very simple, that why the profit and loss account is prepared or statement of profit and loss is prepared, just to know the profit or loss. And concept, can you guess what is the concept behind this? So here concept which is used in profit and loss account is, it is matching concept. Matching concept, what is matching concept in accounting? Matching concept means revenues or income is matched with expenses. Okay, revenues and income are matched, so whatever, either profit will come or loss will come. Okay, how when the profit will come? Simple, when profit will come, income minus expenses is equals to profit. Yes, so or you can say revenues minus expenditures is equals to profit. So purpose is very simple, we want to know profit or loss, hence we are matching. Which concept we are using? Matching concept. We are matching incomes and expenses. Okay, so see, that is only given in your format. What is matched? First see, revenue, income and expenses, nothing else is given. Okay, so see what exactly given over here. What is our matching concept says? Matching concept says revenue minus expenses is equals to profit. Same thing is given in your format of statement of profit and loss. First is revenue from operations, second is other income. Yes, other income, we have to also consider other income. See, in trading account also we are writing sales, but some other incomes are also added over there. Yes, or in profit and loss account we are writing gross profit, but some other incomes like commission received, rent received, interest received, other incomes are also added over there. So revenue from operations and some other incomes are added. Then you will get total revenue. Yes, total revenue you will get. This part, this part clear? Revenue, how revenue is calculated? Revenue from operations and other income, total revenue. See, look at this format. That thing is only given revenue, other income, total revenue. Now only short part is remaining, that is what we have to do. From revenue we have to deduct expenses, then we will get profit or loss. So expenses, so next heading will be, fourth heading will be expenditures. So number of expenses are there, so all these expenses we have to write over there. Okay, so let us see what these expenses are. These expenses are, see, cost of material consumed, purchases of stock in trade, then inventories, employee benefit expenses, financed cost, depreciation, other expenses. Then we will get total expenses. Now over, finally we have reached over here. We have calculated all expenses and we have also calculated revenues. Total revenue is there. Now we will deduct total expenses, then we will get profit. But this profit is before tax. Up to this we have not deducted any tax, so this will be known as profit before tax. Then we will deduct, see, this will be our profit before tax. Then we will deduct tax, then we will get profit after tax. Okay, but see, in there is some extra points are there. It is not just profit before tax, it is profit before tax, extraordinary and exceptional items. Okay, so first we have to deduct that, also we have to deduct exceptional items, then we will get profit before tax and extraordinary items. Then we will also deduct profit, we will deduct extraordinary items, then we will get profit before tax. Okay, and after deducting tax we will get, after deducting tax we will get tax expenses. See, tax expenses we have to deduct, and that will include current year's tax and deferred tax, that is your current year as well as any previous year. If it is pending, then that also it will be deducted from your profit. And then you will get profit from continuing operations. Okay, then you have to calculate from discontinuing operations, and also of same things will be repeated again. Tax will be deducted, then profit after tax will come. Okay, so the point is, no need to recite the format, just understand the concept is we want to know the our purpose is we want to find out the profit, so we are going to match our revenues with our expenses. So simply we are going to add all the revenues and then we are going to deduct all the expenses, then we'll get profit. Okay, so revenues, that is revenue from operations plus other income, then total revenue. Expenses, all the expenses, depreciation, finance cost, employee benefit cost, all these things will add, then we'll get profit. But simple thing is there, this is profit before tax, before extraordinary items, before exceptional items. So one by one we will deduct these all things, then we'll get our final answer, that is profit after tax from continuing operations. Okay, so just keep these points in your mind and study the format of statement of profit and loss. Okay, I hope you are clear with this. Thank you, and stay tuned. In the next part we'll study the next, that is part 2, issue of shares in such a that is in. So thank you so much. Stay tuned for the same and do share your feedback. Feel free to ask any queries.